letting your gaze lower or closing your eyes. And just taking a few breaths to bring yourself into the here and now. It's getting towards the end of our busy days. Maybe you've had a really busy day. Perhaps it's been a bit slower, but we're just starting to give our body and mind the signals that things are slowing down. Just checking in and having a little scan throughout the body, looking for areas of tension or tightness. Just noticing where you might be holding any of those and seeing if you can, with every exhale, let something go. So making sure your brow is relaxed, your eyelids and your jaw, letting the teeth part. Making sure your hands aren't gripping at the moment, so just letting your hands softly be wherever they are. Maybe your palms are upturned, maybe your hands are on your knees. Just make sure they're really relaxed. And although we're sitting in an upright posture, make sure that you're not so ramrod straight that you're creating your own tension by sitting upright. So we want to be alert and supported, but not to the point where we're causing ourselves tension. Just checking in with how our thighs feel and our knees, and our shins and our feet. And holding the whole body in awareness here. Just taking the time to be here now. No jobs to do, no plans to make. This is our quiet time. Where we really seek to quiet everything within, turning the volume right down on the inner chatter. The remembering, the planning. The dreaming. So just sitting with whatever sensations you're aware of right now. Noticing where your body is meeting another surface. Or where your body is meeting your body, like your hands on your thighs. Or your eyelids being closed. And settling the awareness on the breath now. Just watching the rise and fall of the belly. Breathing through the nostrils. And then very slowly, you might want to open your eyes for this. We're just going to do a couple of rounds of Nadi Shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing, which is very, very calming and will just bring, at any one time, you probably all know you've got one nostril that's dominant. So this particular exercise, we try and bring equilibrium to both. And we're working both sides of the brain when we do this. So taking your right hand and your index finger and your third finger and putting them between your eyebrows. And then with your thumb, blocking your right nostril and inhale through your left nostril. So nice big inhale. Block your left nostril with your ring finger and exhale through the right nostril. Inhale right. Block. And exhale left. Inhale left. Block. Exhale right. Inhale right. Block. Exhale left. Inhale left. Block. Exhale right. This is the last one now. Inhaling right. Block. And exhale left. And let your hand come down. And let your breath find its normal rhythm again. It might have soon become obvious which nostril was dominant when you were doing that. It's quite an interesting thing to do. But we're just trying to bring the equilibrium to the breath, and also it's quite difficult to think about anything else while we're doing that, so that's always a nice thing to do. So checking in with your posture once more, sitting nice and tall, really considering the openness of your upper body here, so rolling your shoulders round and back, and then taking the arms out to shoulder height. I've got palms in my way here. And then turning the palms upwards and just taking the shoulders back a little bit. So you'll immediately feel a pull across the front of the shoulder. Imagine you're trying to get your shoulder blades together, and then turn your arms right over the other way. So your palms are facing up here, and then back, and then forward. So we're internally and externally rotating our shoulders here, our upper arms. So just noticing what range of movement we have in the rotator cuff here. So we've been up and active all day. I first was doing this morning and my shoulders were quite stiff, but it's really quite freeing to do this. So just noticing how it feels. So you're probably starting to tire a little bit now. We'll do it a couple more times. And then with the palms upturned here, so we've got an internal rotation, and then slowly bringing the elbows in and looping round and back, and hopefully you can feel a little bit of warmth in your shoulders here. And let's take the shoulders the other way, just noticing how that feels. And then bringing the fingertips up to the collarbones. Let's do our elbow circles here. So we're starting to really work into the back of the shoulder. So if we're doing nice slow movements, we're squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then we're creating space in between. And then reverse that direction, so we're coming back the other way. You can perhaps feel the triceps tightening as we come round to the front. And then the next time we come round to the front, really trying to get those elbows to touch, but making sure that the shoulder blades are slid down your back, so you're not wearing them around your ears, but we're trying to create as much space as possible between the shoulder blades here. So we're working into the traps, which carry a lot of tension often. And then let's open the elbows really wide. Try and imagine that you're getting your elbows behind you. So again, we're opening in the front body here, getting a lovely stretch. And then just taking the arms down to the side. Loop them round, do anything that feels comfortable here, and then back the other way. And then taking your left hand in front of you, and imagine that you are actively pushing something away. So the act of making this active, you will get a slight twist in your upper body here as you push away. So we want to keep that activity in that arm there. So we're really at full stretch here. And then dial the hand down so the fingertips are facing the floor. Still very active. Imagine that you're pushing away. And slowly let's pull into each and every fingertip. So not especially comfortable this, but it stretches the medial nerve in the wrist, where if you've been working with a mouse all day, this is a nice antidote for that. And then circle the hand all the way around and just take the pressure out of that arm. You'll probably feel that the forearm muscles are aware of it. And now taking the other arm, so actively pushing away, so we're protracting this right shoulder now. Push, 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 and then dial that hand all the way down, keeping the activity on there. And then slowly pulling one finger back at a time, really feeling the stretching here. And then taking a nice little twist into the wrist here. Our bodies truly are amazing. They go every which way. And obviously if they are able to do that, we want to keep doing that for as long as possible. So hence all these weird movements. So just clasping your hands together here now and just taking a little movement into your wrists. I've got a lovely lesson plan here, which I can't see because I haven't got my glasses on. So I might have to peer at it or make it up as I go along. Just taking some time there, seeing how that feels. And then taking both hands and sliding the hands down the back, so you've got a palm on each shoulder blade here, and really taking your elbows as high as they will go, so you feel this really active stretch in the triceps here, making sure your head and neck are loose and not being inhibited by what you're doing with your elbows. So even though we've got our elbows high, we don't want the shoulder blades high. We want the shoulder blades to be dropped. We want them to be depressed here rather than elevated. So it's just our elbows we're sending high. So this should be feeling quite warm in the triceps now. Just noticing how we feel. We're just going to take a few more breaths. So making sure you're still breathing here. And also try and get your forearms next to your ears here. So we don't want the elbows to be wide. We want them to be tucked in, but behind, up and behind. And then slowly bring the arms down and take a little loop out here. Lovely. And then back the other way. And then taking one arm, taking the left arm, just holding with the right and bringing it across your body here. Taking a nice stretch here. Try not to take your whole torso with it. Try and isolate the movement so it's just coming from the shoulder and the upper arm here. There's a tendency to want to kind of go with it, but try and keep the rest of your body front. And then slowly let that down, and then let's take the other side. So just holding it over. Noticing what the differences are. Our bodies are so uneven. And then letting both arms down and taking whatever movement feels nice there. And dropping the chin onto the chest. Let's take a nice stretch now through the back of the neck. Just noticing how that feels. And slowly roll the right ear over the right shoulder. And noticing how it feels down the left-hand side. So the stretch is quite active all the way from the ear to the shoulder. So make sure you haven't lifted that shoulder as well. So the left shoulder is very heavy here. Let gravity just take it down. So we're really just having a good old stretch here. And then slowly your head and neck come through center, and let's roll the left ear over the left shoulder and let the right shoulder be really heavy here. So noticing which is your tight side. One side is invariably a lot less free than the other. Once more through center, just noticing any little clicks and crunches. Coming to rest on the right hand side. Making sure your hands are relaxed and heavy, not carrying any tension anywhere. We're just isolating this part of the body here. Once more, head and neck come through center, coming to rest on the left-hand side. Just checking in with your sitting bones here, making sure you're nice and square in both sitting bones. And head and neck come center. Let's take a look round to the left, center and round to the right. We're going to do this a couple of times just to see that we have a free range of movement here. So just going at your own pace, left and right. So you'll very quickly become aware if you've had a tough day and you're holding the tension in your neck and shoulders. Once more to the left, once more to the right, and back to center. And now drawing a big circle with your nose in one direction. Nice and slow. As soon as you've completed the circle, we're going to go back the other way. My neck's making a terrible noise doing this. I don't know if anyone else's is. And then if that felt okay and you want to take a nice stretch in your throat, just taking the chin up towards the ceiling very slowly. Make sure your teeth are parted here, nice and tall. And slowly back to center. And as you're all straddling your bolsters at the moment, just coming up onto your knees and sliding your bolster forward, and then just moving it back towards your knees. And we're going to take a forward fold here. So just coming to rest one side of your face on the bolster. So letting your hands come down to the ground here. Palms are upturned, and feel that lovely stretch in the lower back here. So you're being fully supported by your bolster or your pillows or cushions, whatever you're using. So really just give in to gravity here. Let yourself be fully supported by whatever you're laying on. And just check in with where you might be holding tension. Just try and let everything and anything go. Just noticing how your breath is. Noticing whether your breathing has slowed right down. And then whichever side of your face you're laying on, just gently turning your head the other way. Just so we've obviously chosen the side that feels the most free, so we need to try and give a little stretch into the other side. And slowly using your hands to push yourself gently up. And let's take ourselves off our bent legs now. They've probably been in that position for quite a while. So just moving the bolster to one side for a moment. And just coming to sit in Baddha Konasana with your the soles of your feet together. Now the closer you can bring your feet to your body, the more likely it is that your hips will open and your knees will drop. It doesn't matter if your knees don't go down to the ground. This isn't the object of the exercise. The object is to get your hips open. So it's to sit with comfort and make sure you're not rounding down into this. So we want to be as upright as we can be. So we're rolling, we're almost tilting forward on our pelvis, on our sitting bones, and putting our hands underneath our feet will just allow ourselves a little bit of traction here where we can pull ourselves up nice and tall and just encourage those hips open a little bit more. So just noticing how we feel here. Imagining that you've got an orange or something tucked under your chin. So we want our cervical spine, the neck to be beautifully long here, extension of the spine. So just noticing how we're feeling. We're on the sitting bones. Noticing how the breath is flowing. And then taking the hands out from underneath the feet and moving the feet just a little bit further forward. So we're in this nice diamond shape now. And just sliding your hands down your shins, really round into your back. This is where we're not looking for a long spine. We want to be rounded. So we're taking a counter posture, really round down. This should feel quite comfortable. If you want to lean on your bolster here, by all means do. Or your pillow or your cushion, anything that makes this more comfortable. You want to, whatever you've got to hand. So we're taking a bit of a forward fold with our hips open. So we're encouraging those hips just to open up. Really get a sense that you are letting something go with every exhale. Make sure your hands are relaxed, your feet are relaxed. And then slowly bringing yourself back up to upright and bringing your cushions, bolster or pillows next to your left hip and turning both knees to face in the same direction as your bolster. So if you can sit like this with the bolster right next to your hip. So we're looking to sit nice and tall here. And then we're going to take a twist here. So it's a torso twist. We're turning from our belly button. And then just slide your hands down the bolster and let the bolster support you. So just laying down, try and fully relax here. Let your arms be very gentle. Obviously, if your legs aren't comfortable and you can't be supported, just fiddle about until you can lay sideways. It's just, we want to make sure it's a lateral movement. So we're getting a stretch and opening in the side body on the right hand side here. As much as possible, we don't want to be holding any tension anywhere in the body. Every single one of these postures should be given up to gravity, where there's no real work going on. It might feel as though, you know, you're getting a stretch in one side of the body rather than the other, but it's all very, very passive. Well, that's how it should feel. These are the signals we're giving our body that it can yield. No real work happening. It's not in danger. So we're really setting the scene of, by calming our bodies right down, our minds pretty quickly tune into. We're switching into that parasympathetic nervous system. And we're switching over from our busy days into our rest and digest mode. So whichever side of the face you've been laying on, just giving it a couple of breaths on the other side, which might not feel too comfy. If it's really uncomfortable, just rest on your chin. If you can, take a couple of breaths, looking in the opposite direction. And slowly head and neck come center, using your hands to push yourself up here. and just unwind from this position you're in, and take the bolster to the other side and take your knees to the other side. See how this twist feels when we're going in the opposite direction. So finding your lift and length first and kind of butting your support up next to your thigh and your hip, and then turning to look at the length of the support and sliding your body down this side and noticing how this feels. So either hugging your bolster or letting your forearms just come to the ground, making sure your feet aren't squashed, make sure they've got lots of room and that they're passive and you're not crunching your toes or holding any tension in your legs or anywhere really. Don't want any tension, just try and let it all go. Noticing where you might be holding on inadvertently to some tension. And then lifting and turning the head the other way just for a few breaths, so we get a stretch in the other side. And then slowly using our hands just to bring ourselves back up to seated and moving the bolster out of the way for the time being and rolling round so that we're on all fours now. So wrists are beneath the shoulders, knees are below the hips. I'm going to take a couple of rounds of cat and cow just to get some movement in our spine. So tucking the chin right into the chest and really pushing the mat away here. So we're getting as much space between our shoulder blades as we possibly can. If you're pushing very, very actively, you'll feel this in your upper arms into the front and the back of your shoulders. So chin is tucked right in. And then slowly starting to drop the belly as we bring the chin up and feel the stretch down the front body. And also you might notice it in your lower back. This should feel quite nice. Maybe taking a little sway from side to side here, wagging the dog. And then coming to stillness and tucking the chin back in again as we push the mat right away. Push, 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 push. Really active in the shoulders. Remembering to breathe, keep the belly moving. And then once more back the other way, so dropping the belly, lifting the chin, sending the hips back, feeling the stretch all the way into the obliques here, the side abdominal muscles. And then coming back to neutral. Now from here, if you've got your bolster or your support handy, just have it just beyond where your fingertips were when we were doing cat and cow. And then just bring your forearms down onto the support. So we're still in a right angle from our knees and our hips, but we're coming to rest our elbows on the bolster or the support. And then join the palms together and just take the joined palms behind your head. And imagine that you're trying to push the support away with your elbows. This will have the effect of stretching very effectively into your shoulders and your triceps. So we're almost sinking our bellies down a bit here. You should feel a very active and quite efficient stretch under the armpits, into the shoulder, into the triceps. So adjusting so that this is comfortable for you. Really breathing with ease here. Adjust until you can breathe with ease. Your breath tells you everything you need to know about where you're at in the posture. So considering this is quite a passive looking stretch, it really is quite active. There's a lot going on here. Very effective in stretching the upper body. And then slowly bringing the joined palms back over the head. Rolling the support right out of the way and just coming down onto your forearms with your forehead on the floor. I'm just taking a moment here. So we're not quite in all fours because we're on our forearms. Your bottoms are kind of sticking up a little bit. We're getting a good stretch. We're sending the hips away, starting to stretch into our glutes here. And then slowly pushing into our forearms as we take one leg back, then the other leg back, and lowering down onto our bellies until we find ourselves in Sphinx pose. So our elbows are in line with our armpits. And we're looking down between our thumbs here. So the tops of our feet are pressing into the mat, our thighs are pressing into the mat, our pubic bone is pressing into the mat, and our forearms are pressing into the mat. So we're taking a very gentle position here. So we're trying to imagine that our necks are as long as possible. So we're not looking up here and stretching our chins away. We're looking down at our thumbs, very active in the forearms. So our ribs are off the mat. So we're lengthening in our front body, and our lower back muscles are getting a little bit of work here in this little back bend. And then slowly just winging the elbows out to the side, make a little pillow with your hands and take a break here. And let your feet roll in so your toes are facing, your feet are facing each other. So we're in crocodile pose now. So the ankles are rolled inwards, toes are towards each other. And just take a little sway from side to side on your hips here. Just noticing how that feels. And then leaving your right arm where it is and bending into your left leg. Just reach around and see if you can grab hold of your foot. If you can't, it's not the end of the world. Maybe you can grab the back of your calf. But if you can grab hold of your foot, that's good. And then pressing the thigh into the mat and pushing the foot into the palm. We're just going to raise our upper bodies here. So we're getting a bit of a quad stretch here. And we're also taking a little effective back bend. So keeping the neck nice and long here, so we're still looking down at the mat. Really trying to push that hip and the pubic bone into the mat, so we're getting a thorough stretch into the quad. And then slowly taking the pressure off, lowering the thigh back to the mat and letting the foot carefully go back down. Bringing the left hand to the mat, bending into the right knee and seeing if we can take hold of the right foot. So just noticing the differences between the two sides. And let's set this side up. So pushing into the left foot, the left thigh, then into the pubic bone, and in the right foot we're pressing the foot into the hand as we push down and raise ourselves up here. So nice little efficient back bend and a quad stretch. So looking down at the mat, neck is nice and long. We're just holding it for a couple more breaths And then slowly releasing, letting go and taking your head back to your little pillow that you've made with your hands and sway from side to side here. And now this time, I expect you've guessed what's coming. We're going to bend into both knees, reaching round with both hands, so keeping your chin on the mat for a minute. Trying to make sure that both thighs are parallel here, and very, very gently just pushing those feet into the hands. And as you do so, squeezing the shoulder blades together here, which will have the effect of bringing your upper chest off the mat, and trying to push the thighs down. So only do as much as you need to feel this stretch, and you'll know when you're feeling it. So we're looking down at the mat. Couple more breaths, and slowly, slowly lower down. And head comes back to hands, and take a little roll from side to side here. Then just coming to stillness for a few breaths. Feeling the energy flowing, noticing the sensations that are here tonight. And then slowly bringing yourself up onto one elbow and then the other, bringing your pillows or whatever support you've got, just coming up to your knees for a moment. We want to have the support on the soft bits of our belly, so not on our ribs, not on our hips, but the bit where our T is resting right now. So just get yourself set up. So obviously you'll probably have a bit of your ribs on the bolster, but you want it to be on the squishy bit. And then bringing your elbows in so that they're touching whatever's supporting you. And we're looking down at our thumbs, and we're just using our forearms to prop us up here. So we're in supported cobra pose here. So we're in a little back bend, and we're quite passively stretching the front of our bodies and shortening in the back of our bodies. Our necks are nice and long. And just apply a little bit of pressure into your forearms here. So you're just assisting a little bit. Seeing if you can let go of any tension in the feet. Just noticing what's going on in the shoulders here. Trying to breathe into your belly, just noticing how things change when your belly is constricted a little bit. And then just winging the arms out to the side and using your hands to push yourself back off the bolster. So we're going to turn the bolster around and put it in front of our right knee. And taking both hands to the mat, we're just going to come up as if we were in downward facing dog. So we're pushing ourselves back, just having a little stretch here for a moment, really straightening into the legs, just pedaling it out, one leg and then the other. Just having a bit of a stretch into the hamstrings, which we've studiously ignored tonight. And then just bringing the right knee towards the bolster and then turn it at the last minute. So the right knee is heading towards the right side of the mat and the foot is going towards the left. I doubt you'll get it at a right angle, but do your best. That's kind of what we're after. And then maybe just edge the bolster forward a little bit and slowly lower the back leg and reposition the bolster so that you can lay down here in supported pigeon. So we're fully bent on the front hip, You might need to take care here with your hips, but we're using the bolster to support our torso weight as we just relax that back leg back. So the right heel is pretty much into the left hip or groin area, but the pillows or cushions or bolster is supporting our weight, so we're not completely crushing our foot. But you should have a lovely active stretch into your right glute here. So just having a play with it until that's what you're feeling. Maybe you're aware as you're lying here, perhaps you can feel your heart beating. It's always a nice little reminder when you're suddenly aware of that. Makes you realise how everything has slowed down, or not, as the case might be. My heart's beating quite slowly at the moment, despite the fact that I'm talking a lot. And then slowly using your hands to take your body weight off the bolster. Tuck the back leg, straighten the back leg, and allow your right foot to come out. Let's just take downward facing dog for a breath or two. No need to try and set it up perfectly. Just have a little stretch here, really pushing into the fingertips, trying to encourage the torso back towards the thighs as we send our hips high, just noticing how that feels. And then this time we're going to bring the left knee in and set the leg down, wriggle the right leg all the way back until we can untuck the foot and lay the leg flat. And then putting the bolster in a position where it will support our body weight so we're not crushing the sole of the left foot, but we're getting this lovely open stretch into the left glute here. Making sure that your arms are nice and relaxed, so they're not doing any work here, they're just maybe hugging your bolster or quite relaxed on the mat here. Just breathing, noticing how you feel. See if you're aware of your heartbeat on this side. Noticing how your neck feels on this side. Maybe taking a stretch to the other side if you want to do that. And then slowly bringing the hands along the side and tucking the back foot, lifting the back leg, and just bringing yourself back into downward facing dog for the last time. Let's just pedal it out here. And just taking a couple of breaths, I'm just going to roll my bolster out of the way. Taking a couple of breaths here in downward facing dog, just noticing how you feel. This is a nice restorative posture. So hips are sent high, so we get a lovely engagement all the way from the hamstrings into the glutes. It doesn't matter if your heels go down. You can do this with your knees bent if you want to, but you do want to send your hips high. You want your elbow creases to be facing each other, and you want to be very active in your hands as you push the mat away. And head and neck, you want to be able to nod yes and shake no. And then looking towards the hands, coming forward on your toes and stepping one foot forward, then the other foot forward, and taking a very soft and gentle bent knee forward fold. So bending your knees as generously as you need to. Hands are on the mat or near the mat or on your bolster, whatever feels right for you. We're just going to take a moment here with our heads lower than our hearts. And then slowly looking towards the end of our mat, bending generously into our knees and coming down to lay down on our mat. Just taking your time here, making sure you've got your bolster or your cushions to hand, because we're going to be using those again soon, you'll be pleased to know. So just taking a moment here in constructed rest. So taking your feet to the edges of your mat and letting your knees fall in to knock against each other. Turn your palms upwards. And let's just take a few breaths here and see how the body's feeling. Hopefully everything's really slowing down now. I'm almost putting myself to sleep here. So just noticing how the breath is flowing, how your lower back feels, how your hips feel. The hips should feel quite open, the shoulders should feel quite open. So just letting the shoulders be taken by gravity here, really try and flatten them out into the mat. And then heel toeing the feet in together, bring one knee over the chest and then the other, and grab around the shins and take a little rock and roll here, really trying to squeeze the shoulder blades down onto the mat. And then take one leg straight up and then the other leg straight up. Let's just have our legs in the air for a moment, seeing how that feels. So we're doing yet another inversion. So as much of our spine as possible is flat on the mat, so we're not trying to get our legs over our heads or anything. We're just trying to lay here in a nice right angle. I know I tell you this quite a lot, but if you've had a really busy day and you need a pick-me-up, to do this with your legs up the wall is just such a lovely treat. You can do it 5 minutes. It's almost like having a half an hour nap. So maybe circling into the feet here, just noticing how they feel. Twirling the ankles, involving the toes here as well. Noticing if the plantar fascia underneath your foot is tight today. And then reverse the direction, noticing how these even small movements, they migrate into the calf. And then just coming to stillness for a moment. And bringing one foot down to the mat and then the other. And just letting the knees windscreen wiper from side to side very gently. From one side and then the other. And then crossing the left ankle over the right thigh. And very gently just pushing the left knee away. So we're opening the left hip again. And then leaving the knee where it is, just reaching through and grabbing behind the right thigh as we lift the right foot off the mat. Really encouraging that right thigh in towards the body. So our spines and our shoulders and our heads are flat on the mat here. So you should have a really nice stretch in your left glute. And then take the right leg up straight. So lead away with the heel, really active in that foot. So you're flexing into the foot, toes are towards the shin. Still trying to encourage that thigh a little bit closer to the torso. Feeling the stretch here. And then taking the right foot down to the mat and crossing the left foot all the way over the right. And then arms come out at shoulder height. And we're going to let the knees slowly go over towards the right here. Doesn't matter if they don't reach the mat, but you should feel a lovely stretch in your left hip and glute here. And both shoulders should be flat on the mat still. Maybe you want to lift and turn the head in the opposite direction to the knees, just to get a really thorough stretch here. And then head and neck come center, knees very carefully come back up to the top. uncross the legs. Just let them roll from side to side for a minute, so we're rolling from one side of the sacrum to the other. And then coming to stillness and crossing the right ankle over the left thigh, just letting that knee fall open a little bit more, just to open the right hip. And then leaving the knee there, reaching behind the left thigh as we lift the left foot off the mat. And drawing that left thigh in towards the torso. Making sure that your head and your shoulders are on the mat still. And then let's lengthen and straighten the left leg and flex into the foot so the toes are back towards the shin. See if you can get that thigh any closer to the body, just increasing the stretch in the right glute here. And then slowly bringing that left foot down to the mat and letting the right foot cross all the way over the left. Arms come out to the side of the body at shoulder height, and slowly let the knees come over towards the left. Shoulders stay down. And then lift and turn the head to the opposite direction. Noticing how your breathing is affected by your internal organs, having a bit of a squeeze here. Head and neck come central, slowly bringing the knees back up to the center and uncrossing both legs. Taking the feet to either sides of the mat and taking a little windscreen wiper movement here with wide knees. Seeing how that feels into the outer hips and in the front of the thighs, actually, where the thigh runs into the just above the knee. And then taking the left leg away long and hugging the right knee in towards the chest. Flex into the left foot, in fact flex into both feet here, so both feet are active. And then just bring your knee up to meet, your nose up to meet your knee. Just going to hold it here for a breath or two, make sure you're breathing. And then slowly lowering the shoulders and head back down. Bring the left knee in to join the right. Take a little roll from side to side here. And then take the right leg away long. Flex into both feet, hugging around the shin. And then slowly bringing the nose up to meet the left knee. So really trying to squash the spine into the mat here. And then slowly lower. Bring both knees in together, take another little roll here. And now taking one foot to the mat and then the other, and using your bolster, pillows, cushions, your supports in whatever way you would like to take Shavasana this evening. Maybe you want to lay on your bolster and let your shoulders open wide. Maybe you want your bolster underneath your knees as you bring your feet together. Entirely up to you. You do what you want. So I'm going to lay on the bolster and give my shoulders a bit more love. But entirely your choice. And we'll spend the last few minutes of the practice just tuning back into our breath again. Making sure you're supporting your head if you need to, if you're laying like I am on the edge of your block. Palms are upturned. Make sure your full spine is supported. And closing the eyes and just tuning back into what's going on within this moment right here and now. So starting to deepen your inhale, bringing a little bit of movement back to your fingers and your toes, taking a stretch, any sort of movement that would feel nice right now. And then slowly bringing one knee in towards the chest and then the other, and coming to roll out on your right hand side. And then slowly coming up to seated. And if you've got anything nice and smelly to hand, like some lovely lavender oil or some hand cream or something, just starting to put a little in your palms and rubbing your palms together nice and vigorously, create a little bit of heat. And then cupping the hands in front of the face and just taking a few breaths here, enjoying either the heat or the lovely smell. And then slowly bringing the palms together as we bring them down the front of our bodies. And just bowing our heads here for a moment in acknowledgement of the time we set aside for our practice this evening to stretch and contemplate, noticing the energy. And hopefully the energy is way down now and we're getting ready for a restful night. And let's take a moment of gratitude for our amazing bodies and how they serve us. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. I hope that was all right and that you feel nice and snoozy now. Hope you have a good night's sleep. And I'll let you know when we're going again.
Thank you very much. That was lovely.
Very welcome. Sleep well, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Night.